In 2 Timothy, Paul encourages Timothy to be instant in season and out of season. But I have three concerns that we want to look at today for us going back into season from being in a time of being out of season. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of the Contend Podcast. Today we're going to look at something a little different. We're taking a break from our Contenders Through History series, so to speak, and we're going to look at a couple things between this week and next week. We're going to look at three concerns that I have for the church post-coronavirus, things I can see that could possibly be a problem for churches and thus individuals, Christians in particular. Obviously, as we go forward, once we get outside the coronavirus, we get past that, but things that could have maybe taken root during this time that I believe are concerns that we should have as Christians and guard ourselves on. A couple of them, or three of them we have. The first one is my concern is for new converts, or maybe those who are more undiscipled, that they would just fall away completely because of the break that we've had from church. I'm out of church for, I think, 5 weeks now, maybe 6, here where I am, and it looks like it's going to be another week or two before we can even start in-person gatherings of 10 or whatever, as things play out here in Indiana. I'm not sure when it's even going to be, but those that are baby Christians, so to speak, maybe they're not very committed to the church, maybe they're not even members, or maybe there are those who have been saved a while, but they're just recently becoming discipled and just now starting to grow in the faith. But this break from church, maybe they're going to use that as not even as an excuse, but just to fall away. They're going to use that as something. They've been out of church for now 5, 6, maybe going on 7 or 8 weeks, and they just use that to never get back into church when things get back to normal. So that's a concern that I have, that I think we as Christians need to be vigilant of. If we know someone who is a new convert, maybe someone who we can reach out to and help, maybe even bring them along through discipleship or something like that, to make them appreciate the church more when we get back to church, that we can do that and reach out to those. So concern number one for the new converts. Concern number two for member complacency. What I mean by that is we've grown accustomed to watching church on our TV or on our phone or our laptop for, as I said, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, maybe even 7 or 8 weeks by the time we start getting back to in-person church services. And I'm afraid that members are going to become complacent. Even those who have been in church for years and years. I've grown up in church, but I must say I like sometimes getting up, being able to sleep in a little bit on Sunday, and then watching church, although we watch it when it premieres and things like that. But it is nice to get that extra sleeping in time. And I'm afraid that there are going to be those who become more complacent. Maybe they miss Sunday school now. Maybe they just say, well, my church is going to keep recording services. I'll just watch them when I can, or something of that nature. We need to make sure that we personally, each one of us, need to look at our own life and say, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to get to the point where I stop going to Sunday school, or I stop going to Sunday night, I stop going to Wednesday night because it's just not convenient anymore, because I filled in my Sunday with all these other things while we were all not allowed to go to church. So member complacency, another concern that I have that we need to guard against ourselves, and we can use that also as the church. We can kind of reach out to each other. We can encourage each other during this time, and encourage other members to want to be back in church, want to fellowship, and not miss that. So the second concern was member complacency. And the third one, I've kind of mentioned this is a different vein completely of new converts or members, but I have seen this, and I believe everyone's kind of seen it in to different degrees in different states, but there's obviously been a precedent of the government telling church what they can and cannot do. And I understand in this situation, we as churches, and I know a lot of churches have gotten grief from other brothers in Christ who have been like, the government's never going to tell me I can close my can have my doors open, whatever. But I know my pastor, my dad, he and I, whenever we talk about this, the government didn't tell us to close. We did it because we felt it was best for our church family, just as anyone else I know that closed, they would say the same thing. So, but nonetheless, there is a precedent being set of the government using situations, circumstances surrounding us to impede a little bit our church function. So I see that as a concern, but I do believe that we as Christians will stand when we must and things of that nature. So those three concerns, I want you to keep them in mind. I want you to think about them in your own life. Maybe there's a new convert that you know that is, or someone who's just started some sort of discipleship that you can reach out to and help them. Maybe even help them with their discipleship. Give them some verses to look up, or even have a video call with them or something and help them through their discipleship lessons. And also watch yourself for complacency in this time. Make sure that you're not just going to be someone who, when church is back to normal, you say, well, I don't need to go to Sunday school anymore. Make sure that you're in church where you're supposed to be. And then third, the precedent of the overreach from the government. But that's something obviously that we can look at more as we come out of coronavirus, see how things go back to normal before we have to talk about that too much. But three concerns that I saw, hopefully you've noticed those as well, and you've put safeguards in your life and in your mind so that you can return back to completely normal church when church is finally back to normal. So hopefully you'll keep these in mind and think about these three concerns for the church as we go forward. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Contend Podcast. If you did, give it a like, or maybe give us a comment in the comments. Tell us what you thought about it. Don't forget, this coming Monday is going to be our first Masculinity Mondays. We're going to be looking at some biblical masculinity and things of that nature. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Turn the notifications on so you can get notified every time we launch a new video. And don't forget to not be a pretender, but be a contender.